Kia ora. Thank you for tuning in. This video is to talk about the service structures that we're going to have in place for the 12th and the 19th of December. These 2 weeks are what we're hoping to take into the first term of next year, so a good idea for you guys to know what the plan is with them and to be prepared as you come along in the next couple of Sundays. Just so you know, over Christmas, New Year, the plan is on the 26th of December and the 2nd of January, there won't be any services here physically at church. We will put up a service online and premiere on YouTube on, so probably 8 o'clock on Sunday mornings of those particular days, and you're able to watch it during that week. This video is in 3 parts. This bit here, I'll give you an outline, a basic outline of them, and then in the second 2 parts, the first one is very specific stuff about the 9:30 service. So if you're going to that one, you can jump to that chapter. Using the timeline below, you'll see the time point where you can jump to talk about that, or the 4 o'clock in the afternoon one, which is the 3rd chapter in that series, and you can get the details on there. Just before I talk about that though, I think I've been thinking lately about the difference between the words separation and division, and I think they're important to understand as we think about our time at the moment. Separation is the reality of what's imposed on us by our current environment. All churches are having, over a certain size, are having to separate off into different groups with that, and there's no way around that. This is the decision that the elders have made, and we think it's the best decision. It was an imperfect choice, and there's elements of this that we would really prefer not to have in place. But you know, there's an essence once the choice has been made and we get settled into this, that we move past what frustrations we might have with it and move into space where we go, you know, God is still at work and we need to be united and we need to be alert to what God is doing at this particular time point. Division is different from separation, because separation is what is imposed on us, but division is a result of letting that separation eat into what ultimately unites us. Paul in Ephesians 4 says this, he says, "As a prisoner for the Lord then, I urge you to live a life worthy of the calling you have received. Be completely humble and gentle, be patient, bearing one another in love, make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called to one hope when you were called, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all." And so Paul is saying here there's a whole lot of things that are one, that we unite around. And it's really important that when we keep those as our focus, that we stay united in a very real way. But in verse 3 he says something else that's really important. He says, make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit. You see, it takes attention from us. We have to work very hard on making sure that we are making an effort to keep that unity. The Spirit's working in our hearts. Well, we have to make sure that we work at it with our wills and what we do and what we say and how we speak about others. And when we do that, we maintain a unity even though there is some separation present. So what are the services? Well, the 2 services are this. At 9:30 on a Sunday morning is a vaccine pass service, and so you'll be required to have the phone with your vaccine pass on it or physically bring it along with you. The service itself will look very similar to what we have historically had, and if you want to know more details about that, as I say, jump to the next chapter in this video. The 4 o'clock service in the afternoon is an open one. Anyone is able to come. But with the traffic light system, that means there are group size limits with it. We're going to run them outdoors though, and the big advantage with running them outdoors is that we are able to run multiples of those group sizes with proper spacing in between them, but it means that numbers become less of an issue in that space and being able to do it. Again, there'll be a children's program with it, so families and kids are able to come along to that, and it'll be resourced similarly to the Sunday morning in the children's space. One other quick thing I want to say with this. I'm using the term vaccine pass service for the morning one and open service for the afternoon And that is just to help us in this initial stages to clarify what those two services are. But going forward, we want to use the terms morning service and afternoon service. And this is really important because for us, it's really important that people are able to attend and participate within a service together. We're called to come together as a church. And both of these services, neither of them is thought less than the other. They've got those equivalent services run under the Raleigh Street Christian Centre banner. And so by calling them ultimately the morning and the afternoon service will help us in that pattern of thinking with it. I just want to encourage you. God is still sovereign. Nothing is surprising him at this moment. His work is not restricted by mandates or pandemics or passports. His kingdom work is still going on, where he's taking little tiny mustard seeds and they're growing into large trees that the birds rest and nestle in. There's so many things that can distract us from the work of God at that moment in this world. And yet I think there's so many things that are stirring in the world at the moment that are forcing us to really think what our lives are built on. But even beyond us as believers and non-believers, there's a stirring about what is my life really built on? What is my hope that I have in it? And I think we need to be alert to what the Spirit is doing because there's a lot of kingdom work going on at the moment. So, check out what the service options are, make your choice in that kind of space, and then let's work forward together with this opportunity we have now to regather. I want to reinforce this idea that separation can be placed upon us, but being united together, it's a collective bond, and it's formed by a continual remembrance of the one who brought us all at a great cost. Let me pray. Sovereign God, we take great comfort that we can rest in you. Nothing happening in the moment is distracting you or a surprise to you. If anything, you're going to use what is happening at the moment to further your kingdom and to glorify your name. Father, help us to be receptive to the work of your Spirit in our hearts and in our lives. Help us to make every effort to keep the unity that you call us through your Spirit in a bond of peace too. Help us to be proactive in doing that in very real and tangible ways. Father, as we meet together as a church in these two services, may we lift your name up. As we sing and pray, we learn together from your word, we fellowship, encourage and exhort. All these things, Lord, may you utilize these services in very real ways that help us to draw near to you, that help us to hold fast to the hope that we profess, and that help us to stir one another up to love and good deeds. Father, you're a good and wonderful God. We thank you so much for your Son, Jesus Christ, and all that we have because of what he achieved on the cross. We pray in his name. Amen.
So, Jeremy, what is happening on Sunday morning?
Okay, so the 9:30 service is a vaccine pass service. So the biggest change is that you will need a vaccine pass to get in. So either on your phone or pre-printed off. We're not scanning them in, we're viewing them. We know the majority of you coming along, so we know who you are. We don't have to double check the kind of ID with it, but we do need to have that available. Then a lot of the things with the service will be very, very familiar to you. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And what can we do to prepare for just any differences that will happen in the morning?
Yeah, so here's a few things that you could do to kind of help out with the process. One is come early. Service starts at 9:30, so come at 9:15. It'll take a little bit to we're trying not to do too much of a bottleneck with it. But coming earlier will help with that. Then have your pass ready. So if you haven't used it yet, make sure you know how to get it on your phone or have it printed off and have it ready to go. So we're going to have a whole lot of QR codes set up outside so you can scan, and then the pass will be checked as you come through the door. We'll have the front concourse doors open, so you can come through from the front of church or from the normal way through the double doors. We're going to have 2 ways that you can kind of split. So you can go from the left-hand side will be like the speed checkout. The right-hand side is for families and kids, so that they can go through to the kids sign-in register. Which brings me to
Very nicely.
the children.
Okay.
What's happening for kids on this service, Karen?
Well, we're all going to be back, hopefully with more children here. So we will have as you said, the sign-in labels. So that'll be when we come in. But there may be some differences. Some children will be at this service, some will be at 4 o'clock, some might not come. So with smaller numbers, we might have different classes. There'll be teachers that aren't there as well. So you might have a different teacher. You might be in a different room because we need to think about whether the room sizes and ventilation is appropriate.
Yep.
So there'll be a few changes, but we'll be here, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody again.
That's cool. Which probably in the classes, I just want to maybe clarify a little bit on masks.
Right.
Because there's a lot of things that are not quite clear with it. The base thing is that everyone is strongly encouraged to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously that's not a strong requirement, is not required. There are a couple of places where it is clear, and that is for those who are workers at a service, they will be required to wear a mask, but that's primarily in the public spaces, so through the concourse kind of area. If a teacher in the kids is in the classroom with them present, they may take their mask off to teach the children, but they'll wear them in other places as they're going around the church. The other one is if people are on stage singing or just presenting in general, they're not required to wear a mask. So when you come in, I just please be kind. You know, I mean, there's a lot of grey areas kind of with it, and be respectful of other people as far as the mask wearing goes.
We're all working everything out as
we
we
are
go
too.
along.
We are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the important thing that I did forget to say was the survey. So I'm sending out a survey. You'll check emails, check Facebook, just to give me an idea of which children are going to which service, which will help me to plan for the teachers and the spaces. So it would be lovely to have some idea. I'm going to have to split my roles in half, so good to know who's coming when.
Yes. Yeah. So if you could do that, that is of great help to us in many ways. What are you looking forward to, Karen?
Oh, seeing everybody again.
Yep.
Yes, and just maybe getting to sing. We're not sure if that's going to happen. That might be another difference depending on numbers, whether we're all allowed to meet together,
for the kids
if we have lots coming. But if we are able to get in there and have some nice time together, see people in person that we haven't seen for a while.
It'll be nice to be back together, won't it? And being able to have church and fellowship and all the things associated with it. So really cool. Hopefully that gives you enough info. If you're still not sure, flick us a note or a text, and we can answer any questions that you have in that space. A few areas are quite new, but we're really excited to be back together, so look forward to seeing you.
See you then.
Church whānau, I'm Kath and I'm here with Jeremy today, and we're going to let you guys know a little bit about what's happening on Sunday afternoon for our new church gathering. Do you want to tell us what's going to be happening?
Yeah, so as part of our new service structure, we have one in the afternoon at 4 o'clock. So this is an open service. It'll be held outside. The big advantage with going outside is because there's some limits on these open meetings, gatherings they call them. We can do multiples of that number, so with some separation in there. So that's really exciting that we're able to do that. And with the fact that it's outdoors and probably some smaller numbers and the time of day and those sorts of things, there's a real opportunity to try some new things and novel things, or just have a bit of a different atmosphere to it because of that. Yep.
Sounds a little bit relaxed. So what are we going to do in terms of like shelter? It's a little bit warm at 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and potentially could be a little bit wet.
Yeah, so we're in the process of sorting out some marquees or gazebos. We're not 100% sure yet, but we've got a couple of options in the pipeline. But there'll be some covering there to shelter us from the sun.
Cool.
Which will be really good.
Awesome.
And families. You
yeah.
want to talk about families?
Yeah.
Again?
So for anyone who comes along who's coming as a family and you've got children, we do have some of our teachers that normally work on the Sunday morning gathering, but they'll be available to help us with our kids in the afternoon, and we'll have a few activities set up for them. And the hope is, of course, that they'll be a little bit involved with the service because it's designed to be very relaxed, intergenerational, so the kids are welcome to just sit in with us as the adults and enjoy the worship and the teaching and other things like praying together and what have you.
Yep. So we'll sing together. It'll be a little bit more unplugged.
Cool.
And I'm going to do a little devotion, share a bit of my story, my spiritual journey, parts of it that some of you won't have heard before. So I'm really excited to be able to do that.
Cool.
So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Awesome. And probably just a couple of other things was, if anyone is going to be coming along on Sunday afternoon, you guys would be welcome to come down around 3 o'clock if you want to just help us set up.
Yep.
We'd really appreciate that. And also too, if afterwards, after we've gathered together and we've enjoyed church and fellowship together, people are welcome to have brought their own dinner and maybe a picnic mat and just stay behind for a little bit and enjoy chatting with people and being together, and encouraging one another.
Or head off, but starting at 4,
Yeah.
we're designing it so it won't be any more than an hour. So it works well from a family's perspective, doing it as part of why we chose 4 o'clock and not any later than that. There was one more thing I was going to say. Can I remember it?
Where to come in? Like, where do we enter onto the side?
Oh, yeah. So you are coming in from Raleigh Street, and we'll be coming alongside of the church and into the lawn. So if you come in from Raleigh Street out the front there, there'll be some signs up, and you'll be able to see those. That's what I was going to say. Is Karen Hopkins has sent out a survey. We're not doing registrations, but she is doing a survey just to get an idea for the number of children that will be at each service. So it's just putting your children's names down and saying which service you're going to be part of. It's just to give us an indication of numbers for the children side of it. So if you're able to do that, that would be groovy.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm really excited about maybe some worship outside on that lawn area, and envisaging the people that probably wander past to their supermarket shopping, wondering what's going on in our church building. So,
that's cool.
Yeah. So anyway, we might see you there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah.
Blessings.